मैं एक बार जो
being recorded.
What a perfect start of the International Day of Yoga. Namaskar. Let us begin with one of the most beautiful verses illustrating the whole idea of well-being of all. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhani, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. It says, may all be prosperous and happy. May all be free from illness. May all see what is auspicious. May no one suffer. With this peace mantra, a very good morning to all our eminent guests, our esteemed members, employees, and our dear students watching us live from across the country. My name is Sonu Nahata, Assistant Director with the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, and I'm very pleased to welcome you all to this beautifully crafted webinar celebrating the 7th International Day of Yoga on the theme Yoga for Wellness in association with the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. We express our heartfelt gratitude to the Ministry of Ayush for their outright support to the ICSI. To grace the occasion as our special guest, we have with us today Dr. Anna Seyawi, Domain Expert, Yoga and Naturopathy, Central Council for Research in Yoga and Naturopathy, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. She is joined by the ICSI Kumar Singh and Ms. Renu, Yoga instructors and therapists at Central Council for Research in Yoga and Naturopathy, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. We also are pleased to have amongst us today our very own CS Nagendra D. Rao, President, the ICSI, CS Devendra V. Deshpande, Vice President, the ICSI, and CS Ashish Mohan, Secretary, the ICSI. I'm sure we all understand that yoga is more than just a physical exercise. It embodies the unity of mind and body, thought and action. And as a matter of fact, we also know that to harness our deepest potential, we all need a healthy mind and body. ICSI, throughout its journey of 52 years, has ensured a holistic development for all its members, students, and employees. The webinar today has just been curated to reinstate the fact that at ICSI, physical and mental health is as important as professional development. On that note, I would request Yes, Devendra V. Deshpande, Vice President, the ICSI, to give his welcome address and introduce the theme, please.
Thank you, Sonu Nahata ji. Good morning and Om Shanti to all the members, students, employees, and everyone present today at the national webinar on the International Yoga Day. I welcome specifically our chief guest, Dr. Anna Seyawi ji, who is representing Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. I welcome Nagendra D. Rao ji, our President, ICSI. Warm regards to Ashish ji, Secretary ICSI. I also welcome Renu ji and her team for the actual yoga. I think the theme for the International Yoga Day for this year is well-being for yoga for well-being, and it is the most apt theme as I believe that every professional is undergoing a lot of stress in his professional life. May it be physical stress of traveling, less traveling, but sitting. Now with the work from home culture, earlier it was a lot of traveling for professionals wherein professionals used to travel all across the country and even outside. So we are undergoing a lot of stress of physical nature as well as mental and emotional stress. We all are undergoing because of the compliances, requirement, and so many other things. So I think this is the most important day for all of us, and we should understand what is yoga and how we should perform yoga. So that I always believe that yoga is a connection between the mind, body, and emotions. So we have to perform such yoga activities for having a proper control on our body, mind, and emotions. This yoga day has been the day has been chosen on a specific day, 21st June, because it is a start of Dakshinayan as per the Hindu mythology, and Dakshinayan is always the period wherein the spirituality is on very high, and the things which are done in spiritual activities, it will benefit the mind and body of every human being. So at this point of time, I just welcome all the members, students, employees, and their families to this national webinar. I must tell you that a lot of chapters and regions are also doing program throughout the day. We are having, again, a very big webinar at 9 o'clock, wherein Swami Ramdev Babaji would be joining us, ICSI, along with the two sister institutes. So it's going to be a very wonderful day for ICSI in joining hands with Ministry of Ayush for celebrating this International Yoga Day. So I welcome each and everyone, and thank you for joining. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for those inspiring words and setting the tone of the celebration. May I now request CS Nagendra D. Rao, President, the ICSI, to kindly give his presidential address.
Good morning. Am I audible? Thank you. At the outset, let me wish each and everyone present over here through webinar mode and very, very happy International Day of Yoga. Dr. Anna Seyawi, domain expert yoga and naturopathy from the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. Our beloved Shri Devendra Deshpande ji, Vice President of the Institute. Secretary CS Ashish Mohan ji, all the esteemed members of the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, all the esteemed members of the ICSI and the students of ICSI. Once again, a very, very happy International Day. Friends, I would like to begin from a quote. Yogena chittasya padena vacha malam sharirasya cha vaidikena yopa koroti pravaram muninam patanjalim prajanjalim ranatosmi. It means who gave the yoga for serenity and the sanctity of mind, grammar for clarity and purity of speech, and medicine for perfection of health, let us bow before the noblest of sages, Patanjali. Namaskara and a very, very enthusiastic good morning to all of you. With this sloks and with the invocation of Rishi Patanjali for his blessings upon us, I welcome you all to the celebration of the 7th International Day of Yoga, jointly with the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. Friends, 21st June is the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, and it is this day that has been chosen across the globe to be celebrated as the Day of Wellness. As the day of harmony and as a day of sustainable lifestyle, or as we put it more comprehensively, as the International Day of Yoga. It is only yesterday that the President of India said that the yoga is the greatest science of spirituality, which is acknowledged as India's gift to the world. Its universal appeal is grounded on its universal benefits. This is the reason why the proposal of India to observe the June 21st as the International Day of Yoga was moved in the United Nations General Assembly and received prompt and overwhelming response across nations. And it is these words that sum up the very significance of not just the celebration and observation, but yoga as well. Friends, the theme for this year's Yoga Day is Yoga for Wellness. It comes at a time when the entire world is witnessing not just the present and futuristic impacts of the pandemic. The second wave this year has brought with it a realization that nothing can move ahead of good health as far as our priority lists are concerned. And it is with this realization that we wholeheartedly commend and support the ideology and the thought prevailing behind the choice of the theme this year. I thoroughly congratulate the Ministry of Ayush under the able guidance of Shri Kiran Rijiju, Honorable Minister of State, Independent Charge, Ayush, for organizing events across the country on this day, even in these times of pandemic, with strong belief of promoting good health and wellness. In the very same breath, it gives me a sense of great delight with the Institute of Company Secretaries playing its pivotal role in partnering with the government initiative by celebrating this day akin to all the years gone by since the declaration and designation of this day as the International Day of Yoga. Friends, the word yoga or yog has almost been read with the word sadhana. It is the Indian culture and tradition to call yoga a sadhana, a spiritual practice, something which demands discipline. To quote the Sadguru Sri Jaggi Vasudev Ji, everything can be sadhana. The way you eat, the way you sit, the way you stand, the way you breathe, the way you conduct your body, mind, and your energies and emotions, this is sadhana. Sadhana does not mean any specific kind of an activity. Sadhana means you are using everything as a tool for your well-being. The fact that I am sharing this thought is its deeper rooted connection with the way we conduct ourselves in our professional lives, in our work, in our profession. While on one hand, disciplined, truthful, and diligent action stands at the core of our professional activity, the manner in which we undertake our professional responsibility should be no less than a sadhana. From learning asanas at school, from the wellness of mind, body, and soul, as we stand today celebrating the 7th International Day of Yoga in the company of our family, friends, our professional colleague, it is time that we dwell further to find a deeper meanings that have been hidden and treasured in our ancient scriptures, but which still proudly stand the test of the time. For yoga is not merely the culmination of few exercises, but it is itself a unique way of life. Understanding the fact that Monday mornings like this are meant not for long speeches, but for self-actualization and pepping insight through the roadmap of yoga. I would conclude with the verse of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 6. Bandhur atmanasya tasya yena atmaiva jitaha anantamastat satrutvat vatrat atmaiva shatruvat. For those who have conquered the mind, it is their friend. For those who have failed to do so, the mind works like an enemy. With this word, I once again congratulate the ICSI and Ministry of Ayush Government of India for organizing this particular program for the well-being of all. Thank you once again, and wishing each and everyone a very, very happy 7th International Day of Yoga. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your words of wisdom and bringing to the fore the importance of yoga all the more in these trying times. I now invite our special guest, Dr. Anna Seyawi, domain expert at Central Council for Research in Yoga and Naturopathy, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, to kindly share her insights on the importance of yoga and say a few words about the various initiatives taken by the ministry in this field. Over to you, ma'am.
Namaskar. Very good morning to everyone. At the outset, I thank the President, the Vice President and Secretary of ICSI team CCRYN and Ministry of Ayush for giving me this opportunity. And it gives me immense pleasure to share the scientific perspective of yoga on the occasion of International Day of Yoga. The Ministry of Ayush is doing an exemplary work in promoting the holistic vision of yoga globally and encouraging the regular practice of yoga for positive promotion of health, prevention of diseases, as well as for maintenance of health. In the recent past, yoga has been integrated in the clinical management of diseases like diabetes, hypertension, cancer, and various other non-communicable diseases. And it is very pertinent at this juncture for us to share the scientific perspective of the yoga. As we all know, the consequent to the second surge in the COVID-19, there is a wide concern about the impact of pandemic on people's mental and physical health as well. So in this exacting phase, yoga with its multifaceted benefits is proving to be of immense help to the public. We have a good research data on the benefits of yoga that suggests to improve the lung functions, risk reduction in various cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, optimization of immunity, and also the downregulation of cancer-promoting processes or pathways through stress reduction and others. And the research findings are quite convincing that the practice of yoga can be repurposed in the management of COVID. So yoga also improves mental health and emotional resilience and enable people to cope with the anxiety, stress, fear, boredom, depression, and frustration, which are commonly reported in the present difficult times. So we know virus affects the lungs. We all know that. And the majority of our population are not deep breathers. They are actually shallow breathers, most of them. So we aim to reinforce everyone to practice yoga and deep breathing to improve the functional capacity of the lungs. So it is so as simple as that. The stronger your lungs would be, less dangerous would be the COVID infection, and higher chances of good recovery. So moreover, deep breathing is also known to reduce the stress, a widely recommended strategy in present scenario. So this way we can empower more and more people with the yoga for the positive health towards wellness. So workplace is another area more vulnerable to stress where yoga intervention helps in improving your productivity as well. So long working hours, which are coupled with less amount of sleep, new challenges with higher expectations, and with time constraints, it is coupled with the very irregular food habits, which leads to various lifestyle diseases, and sometimes even contributes to premature death as well, unfortunately. So yoga again helps you to build resilience to stress and increase your life expectancy in addition to improving the quality of the life. It is a state of well-being as an experience that reflects first at the individual level, where you feel more energetic, predominantly with a good mood. What happens is this percolates into the workplace, the way you manage the interpersonal relationships, and also in the cognitive abilities. It enhances the cognitive abilities in decision-making at the administrative level as well. So when your physical and mental discomfort is reduced, the margin of error in your decisions would become much lesser, which reflects on overall productivity of your organizations. So therefore, the health benefits in yoga is being popularized since ancient times. This is actually based on a very meticulous observations over the years by our sages and traditional yoga gurus. So the principles in yoga are in complete harmony with very complex human, biochemical, and psychophysiological mechanisms evident from longer lifespans with yoga practice. So with this note, I would like to pull your attention to Common Yoga Protocol. So this Common Yoga Protocol has been designed with the consensus of all the experts. So this Common Yoga Protocol comprises of standing postures, sitting postures, prone, supine, and it is also involved with pranayama and meditation, a complete module for day-to-day practice for all the masses in the public to reap all the benefits of yoga. So the Common Yoga Protocol intends to create general awareness among the masses to attain peace, harmony, and well-being through yoga practice. Therefore, there is a very urgent need for everyone to make yoga to be a part of your lifestyle, and consistent practice of yoga helps to improve your health and strengthen your natural immunity. So I'll be sharing the scientific perspective in my presentation after the live demonstration of Common Yoga Protocol by our yoga teachers, Mrs. Renu and Mr. Shlok. Now I'd like to hand over to the moderator.
Thank you, ma'am, for that valuable information. We'll come back to you after the yoga session to know more on how yoga can balance our attitude and help us perform better every day. It's time now for some action. We are glad to have with us today two very seasoned instructors and therapists from the Central Council for Research in Yoga and Naturopathy, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, Mr. Shlok Kumar Singh, who's working as yoga instructor and therapist at CCRYN since 2016. He's got a total experience of 7 years. He pursued his yoga education from Dev Sanskriti University, Haridwar, and has won national and international championships in yoga. Welcome, sir. Our second instructor today, Ms. Renu, has been working as a yoga instructor therapist at CCRYN since the year 2015. She has more than 10 years of experience in the field and has pursued her yoga education from MDNIY New Delhi. Welcome, ma'am, and over to you all now.
अंतर्राष्ट्रीय योग दिवस में आपका स्वागत है। सामान्य अभ्यास क्रम। मंगलाचरण। नमस्कार मुद्रा। आंखें कोमलता से बंद कीजिए, कमर व गर्दन सीधी। ओम संगच्छध्वं संवदध्वं संगो मनांसि जानता देवा भागं यथा पूर्वे संजनाना उपासते। हम सभी प्रेम से मिलकर चलें, मिलकर बोलें और सभी ज्ञानी बने। अपने पूर्वजों के भांति हम सभी कर्तव्यों का पालन करें। सजग हो जाएं। पहला चरण प्रार्थना और दूसरा चरण चालन क्रियाएं। अपने स्थान पर समस्थिति में खड़े हो जाएं। दोनों पैरों में 2 इंच का फासला दीजिए। सबसे पहले ग्रीवा की क्रियाएं। दोनों बाजुओं को कोहनियों से इस प्रकार से मोड़ें कि उंगलियां आगे और अंगूठे पीछे। श्वास को निकालते हुए धीरे धीरे गर्दन को आगे झुकाएं। धीरे धीरे श्वास भरते हुए गर्दन बीच में लाएं और श्वास को लेते हुए गर्दन को पीछे ले जाएं। एक बार फिर से श्वास को निकालते हुए गर्दन को सामने लाएं और धीरे धीरे नीचे झुकाएं। ये एक क्रम हुआ। इसी प्रकार 2 बार और कर जाएं। सर्वाइकल स्पॉन्डिलाइटिस वाले ये क्रिया ना करें। चक्कर आने पर ना करें। यौगिक सूक्ष्म व्यायाम सामान्य योगाभ्यास में 3-3 बार करने का नियम है। आप अपने स्वयं के अभ्यास में इन क्रियाओं को बढ़ा सकते हैं। अगली क्रिया ग्रीवा की। धीरे धीरे श्वास भरते हुए दाईं तरफ गर्दन को ले जाएं, झुकाएं। श्वास भरते हुए बीच में आए और धीरे धीरे श्वास निकालते हुए बाईं तरफ झुकाएं। इसी प्रकार ये एक चक्र हुआ। 2 बार और कर जाएं। जिन लोगों को गर्दन में ज्यादा परेशानियां हैं, वर्टिगो आदि की परेशानियां हैं, वो ना करें। हर बार श्वास और प्रश्वास का ध्यान रखिए। ग्रीवा की अगली क्रिया के लिए तैयार हो जाए। श्वास धीरे धीरे भरते हुए दाईं तरफ गर्दन को घुमाएं। श्वास निकाल दीजिए। धीरे धीरे आप श्वास भरिए और केंद्र में गर्दन को लाते हुए धीरे धीरे बाईं तरफ ले जाएं। प्रश्वास करें। ये एक चक्र हुआ, इसी प्रकार 2 बार और कर जाएं। ग्रीवा की अगली क्रिया के लिए तैयार हो जाएं। प्रश्वास करते हुए धीरे धीरे ठुड्डी कंठ कुप से लगाएं, आगे झुकाएं। श्वास भरते हुए धीरे धीरे दाएं से बाईं तरफ गोलाकार आकृति बनाएं, अर्ध चक्र। अब इसी प्रकार श्वास भरते हुए एक बार गोलाकार आकृति विपरीत दिशा में घुमाएं। गर्दन को पूरा घुमा जाइए। अब ये एक चक्र पूरा हुआ। इस प्रकार 2 बार और कर जाएं। ध्यान रहे दाएं से बाईं तरफ और बाईं से दाईं तरफ एक चक्र। जब जब गर्दन हमारी पीछे की तरफ जाती है तब श्वास भरना है और जब आगे की तरफ झुकती है तब प्रश्वास करना है। अगली क्रिया के लिए तैयार हो जाएं। स्कंद संचालन। समस्थिति। स्कंद खिंचाव। दोनों बाजुओं को धीरे धीरे बगल से उठाते हुए ऊपर ले जाएं। हथेलियां विपरीत दिशा में रहेगी। श्वास निकालते वक्त धीरे धीरे पूर्वावस्था में आए। इस प्रकार ये एक चक्र हुआ। 2 बार और कर जाएं। तीन बार करने का नियम है। आप स्वयं के अभ्यास में इनकी अवधि और इनकी आवृत्तियां बढ़ा सकते हैं। शांत। अगली क्रिया स्कंद की। स्कंद चक्र। समस्थिति। दोनों बाजुओं को बगल से उठाते हुए कंधे की सीध में लाएं। कोहनियों से इस प्रकार से मोड़ें कि उंगलियां आपके कंधों पर रखें और कोहनियों को अब आगे से मिला लीजिए। श्वास भरते हुए धीरे धीरे नीचे से लाते हुए ऊपर की तरफ गोलाकार आकृति और प्रश्वास करते हुए कोहनियां नीचे की तरफ, जैसे हम बगल से बड़ा सर्कल बना रहे हैं। अर्ध चक्र हुआ। उसी प्रकार श्वास भरते हुए विपरीत दिशा में घुमाएं। जिस प्रकार घड़ी की सुई सीधी दिशा में और फिर विपरीत दिशा में चलती है, ठीक उसी प्रकार ये चक्र 3 बार पूरे करें। जिन लोगों को फ्रोजन शोल्डर्स और जकड़न रहती है कंधों में और पीठ के दर्द रहते हैं, वो दूर होते हैं। सर्वाइकल स्पॉन्डिलाइटिस में बहुत ही लाभकारी है। अगली क्रिया कटी संचालन। दोनों पैरों में 2 से 3 फुट का अंतर दे दीजिए। दोनों बाजुओं को श्वास भरते हुए सामने उठाते जाएं। कंधे की सीध में हथेलियों का रुख एक दूसरे के सामने रहेगा। नाभि से ऊपर तक का भाग धीरे धीरे बाईं तरफ मोड़े, घुमा दीजिए। अब यहाँ प्रश्वास कीजिए और श्वास भरते हुए धीरे धीरे दाईं तरफ भी नाभि से ऊपर तक का भाग ले जाएं। पीछे वाले हाथ को सीधा रखते हुए उसे देखें और इस वक्त बायां हाथ मोड़े। इस प्रकार 2 बार और करें। ये एक चक्र पूरा हुआ। पीठ और कमर से जुड़ी हुई जितनी भी परेशानियां हैं वो दूर होती हैं। स्लिप डिस्क वाले इसको ना करें। समस्थिति में आ जाएं। अगली क्रिया घुटना संचालन। दोनों पैरों में सुविधा अनुसार थोड़ा सा फासला दे सकते हैं। श्वास भरते हुए दोनों बाजुओं को कंधे की सीध में सामने उठाएं। हथेलियों का रुख जमीन की तरफ रहेगा। श्वास भरते हुए धीरे धीरे घुटनों को मोड़ें। दूर से देखने से इस प्रकार से प्रतीत होता है जैसे हम कुर्सी पर बैठे हैं। प्रश्वास करें। इसी प्रकार ये एक चक्र हुआ। 2 बार और करें। इसमें रुकना नहीं है। श्वास भरा, लंबा गहरा, सीधे खड़े हो गए और धीरे धीरे प्रश्वास करते हुए हमने घुटनों को मोड़ा। कमर गर्दन इसमें सीधी रहेगी। बाजू में समानांतर, कंधे की सीध में नितंब और एड़ियां एक लाइन में सीधी रहेंगी। एक बार और कर जाएं। जिन लोगों को ऑस्टियोआर्थराइटिस की दिक्कत है कृपया वो ये क्रिया ना करें। शांत। अब हम अगली श्रृंखला में प्रवेश कर रहे हैं। अगली श्रृंखला खड़े होकर किए जाने वाले आसनों की है। योगासन का पहली कड़ी। समस्थिति में खड़े हो जाएं। ताड़ासन। दोनों हाथों की उंगलियों को इस प्रकार से फंसाएं। हथेलियों का रुख जमीन की तरफ। श्वास भरते हुए धीरे धीरे बाजुओं को ऊपर की तरफ लेकर जाएं। भुजबंद कानों से सटी रहेंगी। एड़ियों को इसी प्रकार उठाते जाएं। कुछ क्षण यहाँ रुकने का प्रयास करें। 10 से 30 सेकंड रुकने का प्रयास करें। यहाँ श्वास प्रश्वास को सामान्य रखें। ऑस्टियोआर्थराइटिस वाले ये आसन ना करें। धीरे धीरे पूर्व अवस्था में आए। 2-3 लंबे गहरे श्वास लेते हुए विश्राम करेंगे। और आसन में हम 2-3 श्वास व प्रश्वास पर ध्यान देंगे तो हमारा ऑटोमेटिकली विश्राम हो जाएगा। धीरे धीरे अब अगले आसन के लिए तैयार हो जाए। समस्थिति। अगला आसन हमारा वृक्षासन। दाएं पैर को घुटने से इस प्रकार से मोड़े। तलवे को पकड़कर बाएं पैर की जंघा से स्पर्श कराएं। सामने एक बिंदु पर ध्यान को केंद्रित करें। बाजुओं को ऊपर नमस्कार मुद्रा में ले जाएं। अब श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य रहेगी। 10 से 30 सेकंड रुकने का प्रयास करें।
रेनू मैम आप म्यूट पे चली गई हैं।
अब आ जा रही है
जी।
इस अभ्यास को भी हम दूसरे पैर से कर रहे हैं। स्थिरता बनाए रखें। सजगता और स्थिरता स्वयं ही आ जाती है इस अभ्यास में। 10 से 30 सेकंड रुकने का प्रयास। धीरे धीरे वापस आए। 2-3 श्वास प्रश्वास पर ध्यान दीजिए ताकि हम अगले आसन के लिए तैयार हो जाएं। अगला अभ्यास पादहस्तासन। समस्थिति। दोनों पैरों में 2 इंच का फासला दे सकते हैं। श्वास भरते हुए दोनों बाजुओं को इस प्रकार से ऊपर उठाएं कि कटी प्रदेश से ऊपर तक का पूरा भाग आगे की तरफ झुकाएं। स्लिप डिस्क, sciatica वाले ये अभ्यास ना करें। मायोपिया, ग्लूकोमा आदि परेशानी वाले लोग ये ना करें। श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य रखें। 10 से 30 सेकंड रुकने का प्रयास करें। बिल्कुल धीरे धीरे श्वास भरते हुए पूर्व अवस्था में आए और कुछ सेकंड का विश्राम। अगला अभ्यास अर्धपटी चक्रासन। दोनों बाजुओं को धीरे धीरे कोहनियों से मोड़ते हुए कमर पे रखें। उंगलियां आगे, अंगूठे पीछे। सुविधा अनुसार आप पैरों में फासला दे सकते हैं। श्वास भरते हुए नाभि से ऊपर तक का भाग धीरे धीरे पीछे ले जाएं। आंखें खुली रहेगी। जिन लोगों को चक्कर आ रहे हैं कृपया ये आसन ना करें। दोनों पैर बिल्कुल सीधे रहेंगे। श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य। 10 से 30 सेकंड रुकने का प्रयास। बिल्कुल धीरे धीरे पूर्व अवस्था में श्वास भरते हुए वापस आए। सजग हो जाएं श्वास और प्रश्वास के लिए। अगले अभ्यास के लिए तैयार हो जाएं। त्रिकोणासन। इसमें 3 कोण एक साथ बनते हैं। दोनों पैरों में 2 से 3 फुट का अंतर दीजिए। दाएं पैर के पंजे को बाहर की तरफ दाईं तरफ घुमा दीजिए। दोनों बाजुओं को श्वास भरते हुए धीरे धीरे बगल से उठाते हुए कंधे की सीध तक लाएं। आप प्रश्वास करते हुए नाभि से ऊपर तक का पूरा भाग दाईं तरफ झुकाते जाएं। जो लोग पूरा नहीं झुक पा रहे हैं वो घुटना और पिंडली भी पकड़ सकते हैं, नहीं तो अपने पैर के पंजे के साथ हाथ के पंजे को रखें। बायां हाथ ऊपर 90 डिग्री पर रहेगा और उसकी उंगलियों को आप लगातार देखें। 10 से 30 सेकंड रुकने का प्रयास। श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य। धीरे धीरे केंद्र में आते हुए दूसरी तरफ से भी अभ्यास कर जाएं। स्लिप डिस्क वाले ये आसन ना करें। धीरे धीरे पूर्व अवस्था में आए। अपने स्थान पर बैठ जाएं। दंडासन। दोनों पैरों को धीरे धीरे सीधा करेंगे। कमर व गर्दन सीधी रखेंगे। अगली श्रृंखला बैठकर किए जाने वाले आसनों की है। पहला आसन भद्रासन। दोनों पैरों के तलवों को इस प्रकार से पकड़ें कि घुटनों को धीरे धीरे मोड़ते जाएंगे और एड़ियों को मूलाधार तक अपने नजदीक धीरे धीरे ले जाते जाएंगे। श्वास भरते जाएं और धीरे धीरे जब स्पर्श तक आ जाए, स्पर्श करने लगे मूलाधार से एड़ियां, तब प्रश्वास कर दें और स्थिर होकर बैठ जाएं। ये एक ध्यानात्मक आसन है। भद्र का मतलब ही दृढ़ता है, शरीर में दृढ़ता आती है। इसमें कमर व गर्दन सीधी रखें। ऑस्टियोआर्थराइटिस वाले और sciatica पेन वाले जिनको दर्द रहती है, पीड़ा ज्यादा रहती है कमर में, वो ये आसन ना करें। 10 से 30 सेकंड रुकने का अभ्यास प्रयास करें। श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य। सजग हो जाएं अगले अभ्यास के लिए। फिर से एक बार दंडासन में आए। दोनों पैरों को सीधा करें। अगला अभ्यास हमारा वज्रासन। दाएं पैर को घुटने से इस प्रकार से मोड़ें कि नितंब के ठीक नीचे तलवे को स्थापित कीजिए। इसी प्रकार बाएं पैर को भी मोड़ दें। घुटने आपस में स्पर्श करेंगे। एड़ियों में फासला रहेगा। पैरों के अंगूठे आपस में स्पर्श करें। कमर व गर्दन सीधी। हथेलियों को घुटनों पर स्थापित करें। श्वास प्रश्वास पर ध्यान और श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य। जिन लोगों को ऑस्टियोआर्थराइटिस है वो ये आसन का परहेज करें। ये भी एक ध्यानात्मक आसन है। भोजन के उपरांत किए जाने वाला एक यही आसन है। आगे के 3-4 आसन वज्रासन की स्थिति में ही लगेंगे। जो लोग वज्रासन की स्थिति में बैठ सकते हैं कुछ देर, तो वो बैठे रहें। ना बैठ पाने की स्थिति में वो दंड आसन में बार बार पैरों को सीधा करके विश्राम ले सकते हैं और अगले आसन में आ सकते हैं। सजग हो जाएं। हमारा अगला अभ्यास अर्ध उष्ट्रासन। धीरे धीरे घुटनों के बल आ जाएं, खड़े हो जाएं। दोनों बाजुओं को श्वास भरते हुए सामने की तरफ उठाएं और कोहनियों से इस प्रकार से मोड़ें कि नितंब पर स्थापित करें। नाभि से ऊपर तक का भाग फिर से श्वास भरते हुए पीछे की तरफ झुकाएं। आंखें खुली रहेगी। स्थिरता को बनाए रखें। श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य 10 से 30 सेकंड रुकने का प्रयास करें। जिन लोगों को चक्कर आ रहे हैं वो ये आसन ना करें। धीरे धीरे पूर्व अवस्था में आए। जिन्हें आराम करना है दोनों पैर सीधे कर सकते हैं, नहीं तो आप वज्रासन में ही बैठ जाइए। अर्ध उष्ट्रासन के बाद अगला अभ्यास उष्ट्रासन। एक बार फिर से घुटनों पर खड़े हो जाएं। सुविधा अनुसार आप घुटनों में थोड़ा फासला चाहते हैं तो दे सकते हैं। श्वास भरते हुए धीरे धीरे दोनों बाजुओं को कंधे की सीध में सामने उठाएं। आप दाएं हाथ को पीछे ले जाते हुए दाएं एड़ी और बाएं हाथ को पीछे ले जाते हुए बाएं एड़ी को पकड़ें। नाभि से ऊपर तक का भाग धीरे धीरे पीछे झुकाएं। गर्दन को ढीला व शांत छोड़ दीजिए। आंखें खुली रहेगी। इस स्थिति में श्वास व प्रश्वास सामान्य रखें। उसी प्रकार 10 से 30 सेकंड रुकने का प्रयास करें। अपनी क्षमता से बाहर ना जाएं। चक्कर आने पर ना करें। घुटनों में किसी प्रकार की चोट लगी है या एड़ियों में लगी है, टखनों में लगी है तो ये आसन ना करें। किसी प्रकार की सर्जरी हुई है तो कम से कम 6 महीने तक या 3 महीने तक इम्प्रूवमेंट ना हो तब तक ना करें। धीरे धीरे पूर्व अवस्था में आए। श्वास प्रश्वास पर ध्यान दीजिए। अगला अभ्यास शशांकासन। शशांक का अर्थ है खरगोश। इसकी आकृति खरगोश जैसी बन जाती है। स्थिति वज्रासन। जो आराम की स्थिति में बैठे हैं वज्रासन में आ जाएं। अब दोनों घुटनों में अपनी सुविधा अनुसार ज्यादा से ज्यादा फासला दीजिए। दोनों हथेलियों को दोनों पैरों के ठीक बीच में स्थापित करें। श्वास भर लीजिए लंबा गहरा और श्वास निकालते हुए धीरे धीरे हथेलियों को आगे ले जाते जाएंगे और आगे झुकते जाएंगे। छाती व ठुड्डी जमीन से लग गई। दोनों बाजू में समानांतर हैं। अब यहाँ श्वास प्रश्वास को सामान्य रखें। नितंब एड़ियों से स्पर्श रहेंगे। ऑस्टियोआर्थराइटिस वाले ना करें। सर्वाइकल स्पॉन्डिलाइटिस वाले भी ना करें। स्लिप डिस्क साइटिका वाले ना करें। धीरे धीरे श्वास को भरते हुए पूर्वावस्था में आ जाएं। श्वास प्रश्वास पर ध्यान दीजिए। सजग हो जाएं। अगला अभ्यास उत्तान मंडूकासन। स्थिति वज्रासन। विधि वज्रासन में ही दोनों घुटनों में ज्यादा से ज्यादा सुविधा अनुसार फासला दीजिए। कमर व गर्दन सीधी। दोनों बाजुओं को श्वास भरते हुए धीरे धीरे बगल से उठाते जाएं और ऊपर ले जाएं। अब कोहनियों से इस प्रकार से मोड़ें कि दाएं हाथ से बायां कंधा व बाएं से दायां कंधा स्पर्श हो या पकड़ लीजिए। अब श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य रखें। सामने एकदम गर्दन सीधी। स्थिर रहने का प्रयास। जोड़ों में बहुत ज्यादा पीड़ादायक परेशानियां हैं, दर्द हैं, तो इस आसन का परहेज करें। धीरे धीरे पूर्व अवस्था में आए। श्वास प्रश्वास पर ध्यान दीजिए। दंडासन। दोनों पैरों को आराम से सीधा कर लीजिए, कमर व गर्दन सीधी। अगला अभ्यास वक्रासन, इसे मरीचिका आसन भी बोलते हैं। वक्र का मतलब होता है घुमाव। दाएं पैर को घुटने से मोड़ें व दाएं हथेली को कमर के पीछे जमीन पर रख दीजिए। बायां हाथ ऊपर उठाइए, श्वास भरे, नाभि से ऊपर तक का भाग दाईं तरफ मोड़े। अब धीरे धीरे बाएं हाथ से अपना टखना पकड़े दाएं पैर का या जमीन पर स्थापित कर दे। दाईं तरफ आप स्थिर होकर कमर व गर्दन सीधी रखें। श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य। 10 से 30 सेकेंड रुकने का प्रयास। धीरे धीरे वापस आते हुए इसी क्रम को दूसरी तरफ से भी कर जाएं। बिल्कुल धीरे धीरे वापस आए। हमारी अगली श्रृंखला पेट के बल किए जाने वाले आसनों की है। बाईं करवट लें और पेट के बल आ जाएं। जब हम पेट के बल लेटते हैं तो मकर आसन की स्थिति कहलाती है। दोनों पैरों में फासला दीजिए, एड़ियां अंदर, पंजे बाहर की तरफ। हाथों को इस प्रकार से कोहनियों से मोड़े, बाजुओं को कि हथेली पे हथेली रखकर गर्दन को, सिर को उस पर आराम दीजिए। मकर आसन गर्भावस्था में व कंधों की जकड़न में ये आसन ना करें। धीरे धीरे सजग हो जाएं। ये एक विश्राम का आसन है। दोनों पैरों को मिलाएं। अगला अभ्यास भुजंगासन। एड़ियों को मिला लीजिए, दोनों हथेलियों को कंधों के नीचे स्थापित करें। ठुड्डी जमीन से ही लगी रहेगी, कोहनियां जमीन पर बगल में सटा के रखिए। श्वास भरते हुए धीरे धीरे ठुड्डी, गर्दन, कंधे, छाती व नाभि तक का भाग उठाएं। श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य रखें। अल्सर व हर्निया वाले मरीज कृपया ये ना करें। चक्कर आने पर ना करें। धीरे धीरे पूर्व अवस्था में आ जाएं। मकर आसन की स्थिति। सजग हो जाएं अगले अभ्यास के लिए। दोनों पैरों को मिलाएं। अगला अभ्यास शलभासन। शलभ यानी टिड्डी। टिड्डी की आकृति जैसा ये आसन दूर से देखने में लगता है। दोनों पैरों को मिलाएं। दोनों हथेलियों को बगल से ले जाते हुए जंघाओं से स्पर्श कराएं। श्वास भरते हुए धीरे धीरे दोनों पैरों को सुविधानुसार जमीन से थोड़ा ऊपर उठाएं। श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य रहेगी। हर्निया वाले व अल्सर वाले इस आसन का अभ्यास ना करें। हृदय रोगी इसका अभ्यास ना करें। धीरे धीरे पूर्व अवस्था में आए व मकर आसन। अगले अभ्यास के लिए तैयार हो जाएं। अगला हमारा अभ्यास व हमारी श्रृंखला पीठ के बल किए जाने वाले आसनों की है। बाईं करवट लेते हुए धीरे धीरे पीठ के बल आ जाएं। जब हम पीठ के बल लेटते हैं तो उसे शव आसन कहा जाता है। शव यानी मृतदेह। निष्क्रिय शिथिल अवस्था। पीठ के बल किए जाने वाला श्रृंखला का पहला आसन सेतु बंध आसन। सेतु यानी ब्रिज। दूर से देखने से एक ब्रिज की जैसी आकृति नजर आती है। सजग हो जाएं, दोनों पैरों को मिलाएं व घुटनों से मोड़ें। दोनों पैरों को टखने, दोनों हाथों से टखनों को पकड़ें। ना पकड़ पाने की स्थिति में जमीन पर स्थिर कर दें हथेलियों को। अब धीरे धीरे श्वास भरते हुए नितंब और कमर तक का भाग ऊपर उठाएं। कंधे व गर्दन नीचे रहेगी। श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य। 10 से 30 सेकेंड रुकने का प्रयास। हर्निया व अल्सर वाले ना करें। हृदय रोगी इस आसन का अभ्यास ना करें। धीरे धीरे पूर्वावस्था में आए। शवासन। दो तीन श्वास प्रश्वास पर ध्यान। सजग हो जाएं। अगले आसन के लिए तैयार हो जाएं। उत्तान पादासन। दोनों पैरों को धीरे धीरे मिलाएं। दोनों हथेलियों को जमीन पर स्पर्श कराएं। श्वास भरते हुए धीरे धीरे दोनों पैरों को 30 डिग्री तक उठाएं। अब यहाँ लाकर प्रश्वास करें व श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य रहेगी। नाभि पर होने वाले कंपन पर अपना संतुलन स्थापित करें। हृदय रोगी, हर्निया और अल्सर वाले मरीज ये अभ्यास ना करें। धीरे धीरे पूर्वावस्था में आए। शवासन। अगला अभ्यास अर्धहलासन। सजग हो जाएं। दोनों पैरों को मिलाएं। हथेलियों को उसी प्रकार जमीन पर रखें। दोनों पैरों को धीरे धीरे श्वास भरते हुए 30 डिग्री, 60 डिग्री व 90 डिग्री पर लाकर रुके। अब यहाँ श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य रखें। हृदय रोगी, अल्सर व हर्निया वाले ये ना करें। पेट में किसी भी प्रकार का घाव है तो ना करें। धीरे धीरे पूर्वावस्था में आए व शवासन। अगला अभ्यास पवन मुक्तासन। सजग हो जाएं। दोनों पैरों को आपस में मिलाएं। श्वास को भरते हुए धीरे धीरे घुटनों से पैरों को इस प्रकार से मोड़ें कि छाती से घुटने स्पर्श कराएं। जंघाएं पूरी नाभि स्थान पर दबाव देती हुई अब प्रश्वास कर दीजिए और धीरे धीरे हाथों को इस प्रकार से ऊपर लाएं और पकड़ें पैरों को कि उंगलियां आपस में फंसाएं। अब नया श्वास भरें और धीरे धीरे गर्दन को इस प्रकार से उठाएं कि ठुड्डी और या नाक घुटनों से स्पर्श करें। यहाँ श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य रखें। ऑस्टियोआर्थराइटिस में इसका अभ्यास ना करें। सर्वाइकल स्पॉन्डिलाइटिस में गर्दन को ना उठाएं। 10 से 30 सेकेंड रुकने का प्रयास करें। पेट में किसी भी प्रकार के घाव है, अल्सर, हर्निया वाले ये अभ्यास ना करें। धीरे धीरे पूर्वावस्था में आए। शवासन। हमारा अगला आसन ही शवासन है। शरीर को बिल्कुल शिथिल अवस्था में छोड़ दो। मृतदेह, लेकिन ये एक निष्क्रिय शिथिल अवस्था है। हाथों को, पैरों को, गर्दन को पूर्ण रूप से ढीला व निढाल छोड़ दीजिए। श्वास प्रश्वास सामान्य और धीरे धीरे विश्राम की स्थिति महसूस करें। शांत महसूस करें। ये आसन सभी कर सकते हैं। धीरे धीरे बाहरी वातावरण से नाता टूटता जाता है। सजग हो जाएं। हाथ पैरों की उंगलियों को बहुत ही धीरे धीरे हिलाएं। बाईं करवट लें, आराम से उठकर बैठ जाएं। हमारा अगला अभ्यास कपालभाति शुद्धि की क्रिया है। किसी भी आरामदायक स्थिति में बैठें या ध्यानात्मक आसन लगा लीजिए। दोनों हाथों से ज्ञान मुद्रा लगाएं। ज्ञान मुद्रा के लिए अंगूठे और तर्जनी उंगली को आपस में स्पर्श कराएं। बाकी तीनों उंगलियां सीधी रहेगी, कमर व गर्दन सीधी। इसमें सक्रियता पूर्वक प्रश्वास करना है और श्वास लेने का कार्य शरीर स्वयं ही कर लेगा। लंबा गहरा श्वास भरें, वक्षस्थल को फैलाएं। 10 व 20 आवृत्ति में प्रश्वास सक्रियता पूर्वक निकालें। विश्राम, शांत, लंबे गहरे धीमे श्वास प्रश्वास पर ध्यान दीजिए। ये कपालभाति का एक चक्र पूरा हुआ। जिन लोगों को अल्सर, हर्निया, हृदय रोग, उच्च रक्तचाप और दिमाग से मस्तिष्क से जुड़ी हुई किसी प्रकार की बीमारी है जिसमें सर्जरी हुई है, वो ये ना करें। स्लिप डिस्क, साइटिका वाले बहुत ही नाम मात्र और सावधानी से करें। अगला चक्र भी करेंगे इसी प्रकार 10 से 20 आवृत्ति करें। शांत, लंबे व गहरे श्वास प्रश्वास पर ध्यान दीजिए। अब हम अगली श्रृंखला में प्रवेश कर रहे हैं, प्राणायाम। अनुलोम विलोम व नाड़ी शोधन प्राणायाम। जिन्हें बीच बीच में आसन बदलना है बदल सकते हैं। बाकी किसी भी ध्यानात्मक आसन में बैठ जाएं। कमर व गर्दन सीधी, आंखें कोमलता से बंद। बाएं हाथ को उसी प्रकार ज्ञान मुद्रा में रखें। दाएं हाथ से प्राणायाम की मुद्रा बनाएंगे। अंगूठे के ठीक नीचे पहली 2 उंगली तर्जनी व मध्यमा को स्थापित करें। दूसरी, तीसरी व चौथी उंगली अनामिका व कनिष्का का सहारे से हम प्राणायाम करेंगे। नाक के पास ले जाएं। दाईं नासिका को बंद करें, बाईं नासिका से प्रश्वास करें। अब बाईं नासिका से ही श्वास भरें और बाईं नासिका को बंद करें व दाईं नासिका से प्रश्वास करें। अब इसी प्रकार दाईं से ही दोबारा श्वास भरें और बाईं से प्रश्वास करें। इस प्रकार ये एक चक्र हुआ। 4 बार और कर जाएं। ये सभी कर सकते हैं। तो बाईं नासिका से श्वास लेते हुए इसको शुरू करना होता है और जब हम इसका विसर्जन करेंगे तब भी हम बाईं नासिका से प्रश्वास करते हुए ही करेंगे। ये अनुलोम विलोम और नाड़ी शोधन प्राणायाम का नियम है। इस प्रकार 2 चक्र हुए, तीसरा चल रहा है। धीरे धीरे प्राणायाम का विसर्जन करें। बाईं नासिका से ही प्रश्वास करते हुए इसका विसर्जन करेंगे। अगला प्राणायाम शीतली प्राणायाम। शीतली जैसा कि नाम से सिद्ध हो रहा है, ठंडक शरीर और मन को प्रदान करता है। ध्यानात्मक आसन में बैठें, कमर व गर्दन सीधी। दोनों हाथों को ज्ञान मुद्रा में रखें। जीभ को मुंह से बाहर निकाले, ट्यूब की भांति गोल घुमाएं। अब मुंह से ही श्वास भरें। पूरा श्वास भर जाने के बाद जीभ अंदर करें, मुंह बंद करें व नासिका से प्रश्वास करें। इस प्रकार ये एक चक्र हुआ। 4 बार और कर जाएं। ठंड से जुड़ी हुई जिन लोगों को दिक्कतें हैं वो ये प्राणायाम ना करें, उनके लिए ये वर्जित है। टॉन्सिलाइटिस, साइनोसाइटिस, अस्थमा, कफ की दिक्कतें, जुकाम, ये होने पर ना करें। यदि हम ये करते हैं तो वो परेशानियां नहीं होगी। धीरे धीरे 5 चक्र होने के बाद विसर्जन करें इस प्राणायाम का। अगले प्राणायाम के लिए तैयार हो जाएं। हमारा अगला अभ्यास भ्रामरी प्राणायाम। भ्रमर शब्द गुंजन हमें कंठ से भमरे जैसी करनी होती है। इस प्राणायाम में गुंजन श्वास नाक से भरेंगे और प्रश्वास भी नाक से ही करेंगे, लेकिन कंठ से गुंजन करनी है। क्षणमुखी मुद्रा के लिए तैयार हो जाएं। दोनों हाथों को कोहनियों से मोड़ते हुए इस प्रकार से ले जाएं कि अंगूठे से आप कान बंद करें, तर्जनी उंगली से आंखें मध्यमा नाक पर रखें, अनामिका व कनिष्का होठों के ऊपर नीचे। श्वास भरें और प्रश्वास भी नाक से करें व कंठ से आवाज करें। इस प्रकार ये एक चक्र हुआ। 4 बार और कर जाएं। जिन लोगों को ईएनटी के संक्रमण है, नाक, कान और आंखों का संक्रमण है, वो भ्रामरी प्राणायाम ना करें। गले के संक्रमण है, ना करें। शांत। अगला अभ्यास ध्यान। भ्रामरी ही प्रारंभिक अवस्था मानी जा सकती है ध्यान के लिए। ध्यान चिंतन और मनन की प्रक्रिया है। किसी भी ध्यानात्मक आसन में बैठ जाएं, कमर व गर्दन सीधी, आंखें कोमलता से बंद। ध्यान मुद्रा, ज्ञान मुद्रा व अंजलि मुद्रा लगा सकते हैं। हल्का सा मुख ऊपर की तरफ, एकाग्र होने का प्रयास करें। दोनों भुवों के बीच में ध्यान को केंद्रित करें। अब श्वास प्रश्वास पर ध्यान दीजिए। बाहरी वातावरण से नाता टूटता जाता है, आंतरिक वातावरण की ओर हम अग्रसर होते हैं। शांत महसूस करते हैं, गहराई का अनुभव होता है। आत्म अनुभूति की ओर बढ़े, किसी प्रकार का हलन चलन ना हो। शांत चित्त होकर कुछ देर इसमें ठहरें। पूर्व के विचारों को छोड़ने का प्रयास करें। व निर्मल और पवित्र विचारों को आने दीजिए। धीरे धीरे सजग हो जाएं, आंखें बंद ही रखें। अगला चरण संकल्प, जो मैं दोहराती हूँ आप बस सुने। हमें अपने मन को हमेशा संतुलित रखना है, इसमें ही हमारा आत्म विकास समाया है। मैं अपने कर्तव्य स्वयं के प्रति, कुटुंब के प्रति, कार्य, समाज और विश्व के प्रति शांति, आनंद और स्वास्थ्य के प्रचार के लिए प्रतिबद्ध हूँ। शांति पाठ के लिए तैयार हो जाएं। दोनों हाथ नमस्कार मुद्रा में। ओम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांति। सब सुखी हो, सब निरोगी हो, सब निरामय हो, सबका मंगल हो, कोई दुखी ना हो। इसी मंगल कामना के साथ आपका दिन भी शुभ हो। नमस्कार, धन्यवाद, जय हिंद।
श्लोक जी और रेणु जी, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. The enthusiasm with which you have shown us the nuances of yoga pranayams has motivated us all. I am sure we all would want to definitely include the practice in our daily lives to unleash the benefits. And now, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce and invite our special guest of the day, Dr. Anna Seyawi. She has a bachelor's in naturopathy and yogic sciences from Government Gandhi Naturopathy Medical College, Hyderabad, and has pursued her PhD from All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, in core topic of physiology of yoga during slow breathing and orthostatic challenges and simulated microgravity. She's a university gold medalist with an experience of over 20 years in clinical teaching and research in various institutions across the country. She has several research publications in reputed indexed journals, and her research interests include application of yoga and naturopathy in health and disease, and understanding the underlying mechanisms involving autonomic function, cardiovascular, and respiratory physiology. Apart from research, she has acquired expertise in instrumentation and evaluation of autonomic function testing, heart rate variability, blood pressure variability, baroreflex sensitivity, pulse wave velocity, augmentation index, lower body negative pressure applications, etc. Welcome once again, ma'am. Over to you now.
Thank you, Ms. Sanata, for a very nice introduction. So today now I'm going to give a brief talk on yoga for wellness. For this, I'll be sharing the slides. So just hold on, I'll share my slides. Can you please help me out sharing the slides? This is a sharing slides, huh? Okay. No. 1 second, I'll mute just under the check. Are you able to all see my slides? Are my slides visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, welcome you all. And the topic of this is yoga for wellness today. So before beginning, let me give you an overview of what I'm going to explain today in my talk. That is regarding the introduction of the health continuum. And I'll be stressing about the lifestyle, workplace stress and productivity. And we'll speak about wellness and its various dimensions and why yoga needs to be a part of the lifestyle and how to build a resilience to stress. And finally, I'll be summarizing the highlights of a healthy lifestyle. Now, let me introduce you about the health and disease. This is an illness and wellness continuum. So in an individual perspective, we will be experiencing either comfort or discomfort phase. Now, in the picture, you can see there are different shaded areas, like the red color shaded areas and the blue color shaded areas. So let us just focus on the red shaded area. That is a phase of discomfort, where usually people will be experiencing most of the time when we are really tired. That is experiences of fatigue, pains, irritability, lack of good sleep, anxiety or depression, and non-communicable diseases. So when this phase on the early stages, when proper strategies are being implemented, then usually it is very easy to manage it. Suppose if they are not being properly managed, then they will end up in diseases or premature aging and the death on one side. So if we just move on to the right side of the blue shades, there is a phase of comfort. So this is a state of physical, mental, and social well-being. And most of the people will believe that absence of both physical and mental diseases are considered as health, which is actually not. So actually wellness is a phase of content where from the health we have to shift towards the right side. That is a phase of wellness. So it is a state of living a very healthy lifestyle. This is actually a process of actively making choices and decisions that promote good health. It is a state of being comfortable, healthy, and also being happy. So this is a very challenging task because this is a continuous process. So it requires awareness, education to be or to follow the healthy lifestyles. When I speak about the healthy lifestyle, it is pertinent to mention here that our lifestyle is just confined between a car and a chair, and we don't have that much of physical activity. In addition to that, we are eating a very high calorical diet in a very stressful mind. That is very common for nowadays of all ages. Now, let us see what exactly is the lifestyle, why we need to discuss or why we need to focus on this lifestyle. So our lifestyle, you see, as I've mentioned, irregular food habits, dietary lifestyle, less amount of sleep, and there is a tremendous amount of stress. That is common for everyone. When we focus for these executives and people who are leading a very administrative level jobs where the decision making is very, very important, there you can see they have a very long working hours. And in addition to that, they have a very new challenges. And with a time-bound workload, because time is a very good stimulus for the stress and very higher expectations as well. So these type of factors are very conducive for stimulating the stress, and this stress is a very important role, plays a very important role in leading us to non-communicable diseases, very, very high risk. So that is why the workplace has become a very important area where people are vulnerable to stress. So if we move on to the non-communicable diseases, in the global health stats estimates of this World Health Organization, in the non-communicable diseases, heart disease are leading the causes of death. And next is stroke, even respiratory disorders. Even in India, you have the incidence of diabetes is very high. And once we see why we are having all these things, these are the risk factors for it, because people are more leading a sedentary lifestyles where there is physical inactivity and people are very overweight or obese. And there is a very high incidence of high blood pressures, and which is not properly managed. And dyslipidemia means the cholesterol levels are in a higher levels. And you see high blood sugar levels. And all of these are associated with stress and anxiety, not properly managed. And there's also a decreased vegetable and fruit intake. In addition to that, there is tobacco and alcohol use also that can't be ignored, which plays a very, very important role. Now let us move to the workplace stress. Why there is a need to talk about the workplace stress? Because this is an area where a large amount of stress or people experiences a large amount of stress, and people are vulnerable to these stresses also. And that culture is of like that, work culture and the targets are of like that. And that will impact the productivity. So that is the main reason we are talking about it. And this workplace stress is being divided into physical stress or classified as physical stress and psychological stress. So in the physical stress, as we all know, repeated stress injuries, because we use the same group of muscles repeatedly, like typing, using the mouse, sitting for longer periods, doing the desk job continuously. So you have that physical discomforts like neck pain, back pain, and you have these tension headaches because of the computer vision syndrome, dry eyes, eye strain, musculoskeletal pains, hypertension, diabetes, and the list goes on and on. And the other side of it is the psychological stress. So there is a workplace aggression among the manpower, and there is also a decreased attention span. There is a decrease in mental alertness, and there is also decrease in concentration levels also. And we call it as decrease in the working memory. And top of it, there is unknown fatigue to everybody. And there is a disturbed sleep, anxiety, depression, lethargy. This list also goes on like this. So when both these together combine, it is a very lethal combination, I would say, which worsens each other. So these will result in a tremendous amounts of health impairments. So what happens if there's health impairment? We experience in the organization, we experience more of absenteeism and presenteeism in an organization. So what is this absenteeism? That means people will be absent due to health reasons or any disabilities. And the other one is presenteeism. I'm sorry. Let's go back. And this is a presenteeism wherein the person will be coming to the office, but their job performance will not be that much of optimal performance. So in the long run, what happens is it will reflect on the lower manpower productivity of an organization. So there lies actually the significance of introduction of various strategies and wellness programs in different corporate sectors. Now we'll see wellness. Why is it important means? See, this wellness, for better understanding, it has been further sliced into emotional well-being. That means we say being able to understand and cope with one's feelings. And the other one is intellectual and the physical. You see, the proper eating habits, exercise, and medical health. And the other thing is social also, because workplace is a social place, right? We need to deal with the different kinds of people to make them work. So social, you need to have a very good interpersonal relationships. So creating a positive environment in the office, that also matters. Now, if you see, in a simple words, at our level, for better understanding, it's just nothing very complicated. Wellness, if you see it, it simply is just a lifestyle. And actively making healthy choices and decisions that promote good health. So the problem is it is a dynamic and it always ever changing and it fluctuating process, and it is very challenging. So why it is challenging? Because we need to inculcate healthy pathways, because it is very challenging. Why? Because we people choose the path of least resistance. Everybody will choose that one. So we have to overcome that one, and you have to make it a point. So habit is technically, we call it as a behavior that is recurrent, that often happens without much awareness or conscious intent, and is acquired through frequent repetition. So for that frequent repetition, you need a lot of motivation. When you will be motivated, once you're convinced, or sometimes there is no option, then we start going for the exercise part or whatever it is. Till for a certain period, again we revert back saying, oh, now I'm fine, I know not. Again, you'll just quit that one. So this is a common phenomenon which we all experience it. So what we need here is a self-discipline. It is an uphill task. It is not so easy. If that is easy, everybody would be will be having a very healthy life. And today, these non-communicable diseases or the lifestyle diseases would not have been happen. So this self-discipline, you need to inculcate like healthy food choices. And in this physically active, I'm not saying about just morning you exercise and rest of the day you just lead a very sedentary lifestyle. No, it is not like that. All over the day, you need to be physically active. And if you have a very good healthy food choices and you're very good physically active all over the day, that will result in a very good quality of the sleep also. And this will ultimately help you in building resilience to stress. This is the main aim of it, because, stress It is inevitable. I would say it is omnipresent. Wherever you run, wherever you go away, stress will always be there. The only thing you need to learn is to build resilience to stress so that stress will not affect your physiological processes. So that will not help your physiological processes and end up in diseases. So what is the benefit of it? There is an improvement in the quality of life, and there is an increase in life expectancy, which is wonderful. Now I'm here to explain you why yoga needs to be a part of your lifestyle. Because from the scientific perspective, there are a good amount of studies which are showing that it is having an anti-hypertensive effect. That means it will have a very good control on the blood pressures. And there is anti-hyperglycemic effect, that is anti-diabetic. And for those diabetics who perform, they have a very good control of it. And there is yoga on cardiovascular variability that will reduce the risk of cardiovascular diseases. And another one is yoga for mental health. That means you will have a more of emotional resilience and you will manage it and build resilience to the stress. So we'll be talking about a few strategies also in that. So what strategies also will be explained in a future coming slides. Now let us start with anti-hyperglycemic effect of yoga. So now the incidence of yoga has been increased. So we need an intervention of the strategy that will have a very good control. So once you go to the doctor, you will be knowing that doctor will say, give the medicines, insulin, everything. And in the end, he will add, maintain a very healthy lifestyle, good, take a proper sleep. So that is the problem actually. So even the medicines also works to some extent, and it has to be coupled with a very good lifestyle for the medicines to have a better effect. So that will show in you good control of your blood sugar levels. So we have, for this, to explain your people, I have taken some of the meta-analysis reviews where a group of combined studies which have done on the common topic of diabetes have been taken, and meta-analysis has been reviewed for the better effective role, estimate the exact effective role of the yoga. So here you can see the number of participants are 864. And the yoga intervention, you see, it's been given for 60 minutes per session and for 3 weeks 3 sessions per week. And the duration is given for 15 days to even to 9 months. It varies like that. So once we see the results, you see if you see from the clinical perspective, the fasting blood sugar levels and the HbA1c, that is the average blood glucose levels over 3 months, and the total cholesterol and the LDL, that is the cholesterol, which will increase the risk of cardiac risk factors. That is showing to be reduced with the yoga practice, and the good cholesterol, we call it as the HDL cholesterol, is shown to be increased. So there are various postulated mechanisms have been shown over here, mainly of 2 pathways. They will say one is by decreasing the stress response. We call it as a HPA axis in medical terms. And there is another one is a vagal pathway. So that is one way is by reducing the stress response, and the another pathway is by increasing the relaxation response. Okay, so what happens is when both these combine together, you have a decreased perceived stress and there is a good quality sleep. And that will result in improvement in the metabolic pathway. Like what you see, yes, in the tests and all, you can see good control of blood sugar levels, good control of lipid profile, and you say you will be losing the weight also. So all these things, it will showing, and that will, in a way, we will conclude it as decreased risk for diabetes and diabetes mellitus complications. So important thing is why we are discussing about all these things is the medicines are there. Why we are taking it? We are mainly to curtail the complications of it. All the problem comes with the complications. So this yoga plays a very important role in postponing the complications also. And even the medicines works very nicely. So once you start taking the medicines, what happens is this yoga and all, sorry, I correct myself. Once you start yoga along with the medications, so what happens is the dosage of the medicines may not be increased very soon. So you can manage with an optimum dosage of the medicines, and the requirement of the insulin would be lesser side, relatively lesser side, I would say. So what is the take-home messages? Yoga helps in good control of blood sugar levels and the lipid profile levels. Now let's move on to the anti-hypertensive effect of yoga. So here also, this is a meta-analysis review, which we have done it, which I'm showing it here. That includes 49 trials, which have used 3,517 subjects over here. All of them are middle-aged and overweight. So interesting part is here, I have given in 3 shades. You see one is blue, Another one is pink, and the other one is the red color. So normal group controls, you see, it is a normal blood pressure. You're not hypertensive, not even a pre-hypertensive. Okay, pre-hypertensive means you're in the path of going to become a hypertensive blood pressure patient ki tarah banne wale ho aap. So now this you see, the yoga interventions, a common of this study, what they have seen is in majority of the studies, the yoga intervention is given for 1 hour minimum and 5 sessions per week, and the duration is for 14 weeks, right? Now you see, if you closely observe, in all of these cases, the yoga intervention is helping to decrease the blood pressure. Another interesting thing is the higher the blood pressure, the higher is the reduction in the blood pressure with the yoga practice. And the another important thing is what they have also done is out of interest. So they have again further analyzed the hypertensive groups. And what they have shown is in the studies where they have given breathing techniques and meditation or mental relaxations, they have found a very good reduction in the blood pressures. That is when compared to a normal comprehensive effect they are giving. But once you keep more of breathing and meditation, the drop in the blood pressure was higher. That means, for example, you see here, it is showing as 11.3 drop when compared to 8.7. Similarly, in the diastole also, the drop is higher, 5 when compared to a 4. So the take-home message is, you include breathing techniques and meditation for a longer time for the better control of the blood glucose. So though you are doing good amount of exercises, walking, or whatever your choice of exercises which you're doing or your doctor recommended, include breathing exercises and meditation along with a few postures that will improve the trunk flexibility. Why trunk flexibility? I'll explain you later. Now let's move on to the yoga on cardiovascular variability. So this is, see, cardiovascular variability will be assessed using the heart rate variability, blood pressure variability, and the baroreflex sensitivity, right? So here heart rate variability is actually a measure of normally occurring beat to beat changes in the heart rate. Every time the heart will not just beat in a one tone. It changes every time. And our breathing is a very important modulator, external modulator to change your heart rate. So once you see the one which I have shown over here in this blue box, then you see each stroke, each line is a beat. So this beat to beat interval, you see when compared to this previous or out of this box, the beat to beat interval are smaller, and this beat to beat intervals are larger or higher in this box. So once you correlate with the breathing, you see once we are exhaling, the beat to beat interval will be increased. And when we start inhaling, the beat to beat interval gets reduced. This is an important thing, which we call it a sinus rhythm in physiological terms. So this is a very important aspect. And you must know that in children, this is very good. But once as we age advances, because there's so many confounding factors, we put on weight, there are the associated factors, and the stress reduces this one. Okay. So, and this is a mark of parasympathetic activity. See, once we do slow breathing, this increase in the beat to beat interval gets enhanced, and that is a marker of parasympathetic activity. What is this parasympathetic activity? This is a relaxation response in a common language. Now let us explain. Let me explain a bit further. There is another thing in the cardiovascular variability is the baroreflex sensitivity. What I'm telling is breathing is one external modulator for this heart rate variability, right? And the another one is your blood pressure changes. When does this blood pressure changes occurs? Once you move, sit from standing, lying to standing, once you move, play and all, there are short-term changes which you have. That blood pressure is very, very important, okay? So what happens is whenever there are any changes, our human body is such a complex and coordinated system, with a very precise coordination. If you understand it, it was fantastic, our human body. So what happens is these baroreceptors are present inside the aorta and all. What they will sense the small changes in blood pressure, and immediately what they will do is they'll send the information to the brain, and that brain will again indicates or just gives a command that to reduce the heart rate. For example, if there's an increase in the blood pressure, immediately the heart receives the information, oh, I need to reduce my heart rate. So what happens is the heart rate gets reduced, and it also parallelly gives the information to the blood vessels, oh my God, the blood pressure is increased. Till for some time you dilate it. So once we dilate it, the pressure reduces. So this is how actually the blood pressure gets reduced and maintained in a precise range. See, you all must know that in all our bodily mechanisms, there is not a single value. There is a range, we say. that we call it is homeostasis. So to maintain in this range, there are various feedback mechanisms happening inside our body continuously 24 hours. Whether we are aware of it or not, it is happening and it is doing its duty very much. But the thing is, we are not acknowledging it. Okay. So with this, once the baroreflex sensitivity, that means these baroreceptors are very good in sensing the pressure changes, the blood pressure will be maintained in a normal range. That is why children will not have any problem with that, because there's our neuroenergetic machines, right? I've not say machine, but their internal mechanism is so sophisticated and quick to respond. These things happens once we eat at once and when it is coupled with other things. Once we lead a very sedentary lifestyle, these baroreceptors will become a little bit blunted, and there are many other factors also in the neural changes and other things. So once this baroreflex sensitivity is higher, there is also a decrease in the blood pressure variability. And there are other studies also. What they have shown is once the arterial stiffness, in other words, I would say arterial compliance, the elasticity of the arteries is good. That means the blood pressure variability will be less. So your blood pressure, that means you will be less prone for blood pressures. And then there is another study which have shown a correlation between this arterial stiffness and the trunk flexibility. What they have shown is they have studied some of the patients and they have seen the arterial stiffness is lesser. And what they have found is in the people who are having more of trunk flexibility, the arterial stiffness is lesser. Arterial stiffness is lesser means it's good for the heart. It's good for our cardiovascular system. So these are just a given to give you an overview of that. What is trunk flexibility? I've given that. And these are the measures. You see, once you practice that, when you realize you can't even touch these two hands together, hold the hands together. Once you practice, you'll understand it. And once you practice this Bhujangasana, which you've already shown in the common yoga protocol, you will understand, oh, my spine is very rigid. Once you experience, these are all experiences I'm telling you. By look, it looks easy. But once we start doing it, then we realize, oh, there is so much to learn and so much to train my body. So the take-home message is, once you do practice good amount of yoga and all regular practice, it reduces the risk of coronary heart diseases, right? Now, the effect of slow breathing on cardiovascular variability. Now, this is a study which was conducted in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and it's a part of my PhD thesis also, wherein what we have done is it's compared between the knife group and the yoga practitioners. And the slow breathing is a protocol that is inhalations for 5 seconds and inhalations of 5 seconds and exhalations of 5 seconds. This we call it in physiological terms as a resonant frequency. So that comes around 6 cycles per minute. And what we have seen is all the relaxation responses. See, in the medical field, what we see is we assess some of the parameters that have a significance that shows, oh, that increases the parasympathetic activity. These are markers are high. We'll say, oh, these are reduced. These are sympathetic. That means activation. All of the things, even the sympathetic and parasympathetic is in fact very good. But the thing is, they have to be in optimum levels. So yoga helps in optimizing these autonomic modulations, optimum. Because we need both the things. If only one is there, nothing. The system is being made like that. And the other thing is, I'll pull back again to the slow breathing. So here the heart rate, the blood pressure, and the systolic blood pressure, you can see here it is lower in the yoga group. So similarly, it is the RR interval. These are actually parasympathetic activity, or the relaxation response was higher. And where we reflect this as a sympathetic activity or the stress or activation mode, that will be a bit lower in the yoga group in the resting conditions. Okay. So what we have seen here is, so the yoga practice would definitely help. Even in resting conditions also, they have a higher baroreflex sensitivity. That is why they're having a good blood pressure maintained at a very normal range. So the take-home message here is, slow breathing has a synergistic effect on the parasympathetic activities. So the purpose of we choose here is, see, we all know that yoga practitioners will be having this one, higher baroreflex sensitivity, higher parasympathetic activity. It is already established. So what we have seen is, already established, already they have a higher parasympathetic activity. On top of it, we are asked them to do the slow breathing. So what we have seen is, even in them, the slow breathing has further synergized the relaxation response, which is in fact very, very good. Now let us go on to effect on mental health. So let me just tell you or define the mental health. It is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities and cope with the normal stresses of life and can work productively and can make a contribution to his or her community. The definition is very easy, but because of the stress, most of the people are having a lot of mental problems, wherein you can see a decrease in the attention span, mental alertness, working memory, you have less, and you have disturbances on all these things, right? So once we start practicing the yoga, what they have seen is a reduction in most of the negative emotions in them, like anger, irritation, sadness, to list some of them, frustration, anxiety, depression, lethargy, and fatigue. And the other one is there is an improvement in the attention span, there is mental alertness, and there is concentration, memory, and even there is an increase in the sleep quality and the positive emotions. And from the clinical perspective, there are various mechanisms which have been involved in that. So one is there's an increase in the good neurotransmitters that will help us to relax. And there is a decrease in the neurotransmitters that will increase the sympathetic activity to the stress response. And even in the inflammation and the oxidative stress, they've also shown a good reduction in the pro-inflammatory, which we say pro-inflammatory means it will lead us to diseases and all, and oxidative stress. And even the autonomic modulation also, which we call it as HPA axis, hypothalamus, pituitary axis, and there's an increase in the sympathetic activity. They're very much modulated at an optimal level with the autonomic nervous system. So what happens is once you practice this yoga, this will help not only in reducing this one, even in some of the conditions of mental disorders or mental health, we need to give the medicines, right? So in that, along with the medications, if we ask the person to do practice yoga, then yoga along with the regular care was effective in reducing symptoms of depression compared with regular care alone. So it is highly, highly recommended even into the mental health. And moving on to the resilience to the stress. This is one everyone needs. Everyone requires this resilience to stress. So first, let us understand what resilience is. It is actually the capacity to prepare for, recover from, and adapt in the face of stress or challenges. So it is not that only I can't avoid the stress, okay? But the problem is the people stay in that stress phase for a longer time. So we have to adopt some of the strategies to come out of that stress phase as early as possible and make our disturbances which has been coming inside our body to optimize it and make it back to the normal. Okay. So what I feel is this, it's been furthered for better understanding. They've been shown as physical resilience. That means physical flexibility, endurance, and strength. And categorized as emotional resilience, that is ability to self-regulate emotions. What is this? I'll come later. And mental resilience, ability to sustain focus, attention, and capacity for integrating multiple points of view. This is very much important in the workplace, right? Both emotional and mental resilience. Now, once we are talking about this one, it is very, very important for me to explain you that why these emotions are very, very important here. See, there are thoughts. Thoughts will generate emotions. Okay, that could be positive or negative, but the thoughts are giving you the emotions. And what is this is, these emotions are actually have a very good integration with the cognition. Cognition means we're thinking abilities and decision-making powers. We use our mind, right? So that is a cognition. So they both, these emotions and this cognition have a bit crosstalk. They communicate with both ways very nicely. So what happens is these emotions, if it is a positive emotion, it's good. Once it is a negative emotion, what happens is it will activate the internal physiological mechanisms inside our body. There is a stress response. It will immediately activate that stress response. That machinery is in our body. So what happens is with that stress response, then there are hormonal secretions like cortisol, adrenaline, and everything gets secreted. So if we stay in for a longer time, any type of secretion for a longer time is not good, especially these things. Okay, negative emotions related to that. So in negative emotions, there is an activation of the stress response and which you experience as increase in the heart rate. So intervening at this emotion level is very important. So where we need to integrate this strategies and all is, we have to be very aware, be very much aware with your emotions. Suppose you got an angry, be aware of it. It is not, don't let go like that. So whenever you have that anger, then at that point of time, you can observe there's an increase in the heart rate, and you feel a bit of uneasiness. There's a spasm in the neck, and you have a pains, headache, everything. So at that point of time, you must understand, okay, emotions are just taking a dominant role. Then you have to intervene by various methods like pranayama and meditation and all. Okay. Now, another thing is why emotional resilience is so important is if the emotions are taken a very dominant role, it will override your cognitive abilities. So that is why you have, once you're not emotionally resilient, then your margin of error in your decisions would be higher as an administrator. Okay. And the other one is mental resilience, as I've told you, ability to, then once you have that emotional resilience and you have a good, cool mind and not distracting with this disturbing thoughts or disturbing emotions, then you have a very good workplace. You have an ability to sustain focus, attentions, and capacity for integrating multiple points of view. You can just handle that one. So of the strategies why I'm talking about here is pranayama. So pranayama means it is developing awareness of one's breathing followed by willful regulation of the respiration. So respiration, I'm telling you, in the pranayama, this was told long back. Okay, now we are just finding it out. Oh, pranayama, this breathing is an external modulator. So this will help in modulating your heart rate, modulating your blood pressure, even it reduces the heart rate. Your cardiovascular risk. Now we are just establishing the facts, but these pranayama, meditation, these are techniques which have been strategized long back when there was no discovery of any stethoscope also was not there. So what they have used is a very meticulous observations or at the individual level for a longer period of time. So that is the, I don't know what's the word we have to use in the medical terminology. Now we are just finding it out, how it is working it now. So once we go for falsifying, then we start establishing the truth. So in the pranayama, you are developing awareness of one's breath following the willful regulation of respiration. So as I'm just reiterating, respiration is an external modulator. So in the meditation, similarly, it is defined as a state of wakeful relaxation in simpler terms. So once, see, normally, so for example, I'm giving you a lecture, you are listening, somebody is traveling or are driving a car. Okay, their brain activity will be very high. Okay, so the brain waves would be higher. It will be active. Okay, if GPS is there, it will be comparatively relatively less, but otherwise, once you are driving with a full conscious mind, your brain will be very active. So the deep breathing and closed eye visualizations actually reduces your brain activity. It switches from beta waves, which is a normal working place. Now, what we are all having now in our brain is the beta waves. It gets reduced once we do deep breathing, especially once you close your eyes. It will be replaced with alpha waves, which are a bit lower than the beta waves. And these alpha waves are actually induces relaxation responses, and it also reduces your stress. So what happens is in your workplace, you've done for some time, you can just sit relaxed, deep inhale deeply, and you can close your eyes, and you can, suppose if you're in a very stressful mode, you can slowly exhale it. So exhalation itself will induce a relaxation response. So here we need to induce the relaxation response and reduce the stress even at your workplace also. We can close the eyes. Okay. And the other thing is it improves your coherence in the cardiovascular system. What is that other than the relaxation response? What is this pranayama does is, or the breathing external modulator, I use the word it as external modulator, that improves the coherence in the cardiovascular system. So the frequency at which you breathe, at that frequency, the oscillations will start happening in the heart and even in the blood vessels also. Okay. So that I've told you, 5 seconds of inhalations and 5 seconds of exhalations, that comes around a frequency of 0.1 hertz. That is a frequency where the baroreflex sensitivity also works. So that there you can see once this baroreflex sensitivity is there, it is very good for the overall health and the cardiovascular health. So it's all like a matrix. Once you do that one, you have the benefit over here. If you link it one, it becomes a matrix and a proposed mechanisms. So you have to just to find it out. So many benefits of it. And the other thing is, as I've told you, once you're doing the deep breathing and all, the brain activity gets reduced. Interesting thing is, in advanced meditation practitioners, what we have observed that there is synchrony in different areas of the brain. That is not so easy. So this different areas of the brain, once they oscillate with a good coordination, then there will be an enhancement in processing of informations and learning. That is a very higher learning process. And for them, interestingly, there is gamma waves also. There is an further increase of more than beta waves. Normal activity se bhi zyada hai, I would say. But their working performance would be very, very higher in a relaxed mode. Now, just go on to this healthy lifestyle. I'm trying to summarize the significance of healthy lifestyles, which go hand in hand with our lifestyle and health maintenance. Like healthy food choices with regular food timings. Healthy food choices itself is a very wide topic, and even with the regular food timings, in a brief, I would say traditionally we must have 3 meals. We say breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The most important thing, easiest to follow, is just shift your dinner to a little bit early, like 7 o'clock. So what happens is, what you have to think is, from 7 to the morning 7, it comes around 12 hours. So try to increase that timing, not in the morning, but you can shift it like 6 o'clock, you can have it, and then you can have in the morning at 6 or 7 also. So at least you try to increase the non-eating period. Okay, so this will help. In the next day, you can see you'll feel really, really fresh, and you'll feel light, and that hangover, and not with alcohol, even with the food also, if you eat too much, you'll have a hangover. You feel very lethargic. Even in the jet lags and all, how you feel, the same thing you'll experience once you have these high calorical foods with too much of sugary drinks and all, if you have it very late. Similarly, next important thing is avoid frequent snacking. This is an important thing. Now, say in somewhere around 1970s and all, we never had the concept of frequent snacking. So this happened after the food revolution, where they start having this packed foods and all, wherever you go, carry home items and all, and snacking. So what happens with this snacking is, once you start eating, the blood sugar levels increases. And once our blood sugar level increases, there is an insulin mechanism. Immediately the insulin gets stimulated normally, because they need to reduce the sugar levels. So the blood sugar level has to enter into the cells. For that, insulin must be there. So the glucose waits for the insulin, and the insulin enters, and the insulin will just talk with the receptors and to open the gates of our cells, and the glucose enters into the cell. Right? So once the blood glucose enters into the cell, your blood glucose gets reduces. That is fine. If that is working very nicely, why you can eat lots and lots and lots. But what happens is, there is a limit for every help, right? So here what happens is, the insulin, after a long time, you keep on eating, okay, the insulin will be increasing, and the resistance, it is overburdened with that, and it will start, what we say, resistance. It will not act very smart. Lazy, it becomes lazy. And what happens is, the blood sugar level stays more outside. So for that, what happens? The insulin will start further secreting. There's a lot of blood sugar. The insulin has to again secrete more. So again, that insulin, again, what happens is excess of insulin production. So maybe in the initial stages, it gets reduced, but with that excess insulin, what we call it as a term in medical terms, hyperinsulinemia. And the other role of the insulin is, it will increase fat storage. Insulin helps in fat storage also. So that is why once frequent snacking and all, people will start putting on weight in the long run. So it is just you're making your own path of diabetes now. So, and there is a regular practice of yoga. So that is the reason why I'm asking you to avoid frequent snackings, and there must be a disciplined timings, like eat, but in a disciplined timings. And of that eating, at least you prefer more of the healthy food choices. Exceptions are always there. Yes, fine. You enjoy it. But you take the food in such a way that it will increase your lifespan. Okay, one irony I was just telling you, this is very common nowadays on birthdays and all, will be using this bakery items like cake and all. And cake and excess of sugar intake was actually, it is not good. It will reduce your lifespan if you eat longer, a long duration. So on our birthdays, you are choosing those items that reduces your lifespan. Isn't it irony? So we have to think on that. And this topic, these topics are never ending, and you have lots of information in the net also. You can go through these ones. And regular practice of yoga, I have explained you why you must do. and reduce sitting long hours. That's what in the earlier slides I told, that you have to reduce for sitting. That means not just once, all over the day you must be active. Don't sit for longer than 45 minutes or 1 minute. Get up, give a stretch to your muscles, have a walk. And even if you're having a very lots of anxiety and all, deep inhale for 5 steps and exhale for 5 steps. So in that way, you try to do, once you slow walk for 5 steps, you inhale, and slow walk, exhale for 5 steps. So that comes around a very slow inhalations and exhalations. And in a long run, it will work very nicely. And another one is good quality sleep. Once you adopt all these things, definitely you'll get a good quality of sleep, unless and until you have a very serious mental disorders where the intervention of the psychiatrists or psychologist is required. And building resilience to stress, no doubt, pranayama and meditation will definitely work if it has been intervened at the right time at the initial stages. Otherwise, you need to do more amount of time. If it's been intervened at the early stages, less amount of time is sufficient. But if it is if for intervention you have been neglected for such a long time, then accordingly the amount of the duration also will be increases. So, and the other important thing is, if you maintain this type of a lifestyle, even the cancer promoting pathways, they will be down-regulated. And even there is a good genetic preponderance also, maybe it will come a little bit later, the triggerance, it will be postponed or prevented as well. Okay. And other important thing is, all the medicines which you are taking, actually, once you perform this yoga, the dosage of the medicines, there is a very high chance, because in my clinical practice, what I have observed is, once you adopt all these things, you need not touch the medicines. The doctor themselves will say, oh, your results are fine. You're under good control. No doctor will give extra dosage of medicines if you are in a normal limits. So it is you have to make it. The change must come from within you. So you have to work hard to make your lifestyle better. So the doctor is just a modulator there. He is a helper to you, the doctors, right? So the yoga needs to be a part of a lifestyle. I don't think there is an option in present lifestyle. So I request you all to perform asanas, pranayama, and meditation, at least some of it. And another one important thing I'm telling you is, in my clinical practice, I have seen many people saying that, oh, I have fixed for 40 minutes of exercise. Today, I have only 10 minutes. So I just skipped it. Okay. So what I'm telling is, something is always better than nothing. So underline that word, always better. Okay. So even if you have 5 minutes of time, you do pranayama for that 5 minutes. Good. Meditation on that day instead of avoiding. And so this is just, you have to be very proactive in your modifying your lifestyle. Okay. External things works for certain time only. External motivation works for certain time. So these are all make your people experience it. Once you start experiencing that superb energy levels, you will not leave yoga. So with this note, I humbly request you to all practice yoga, and thank you all very, very much.
That was indeed enlightening, ma'am. Thank you so much for addressing the mental health dimension as well, in addition to the physical health aspects. True that wellness is a lifestyle, and the way to lessen our anxiety and stress is through yoga, pranayama, and adopting a healthy lifestyle. Yes, the choice is definitely ours. And now we humbly request our guests to kindly accept the Shaheed Ki Beti certificate as a token of gratitude from ICSI. I'd like to inform you here, ma'am, that the Shaheed Ki Beti is an initiative by the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, wherein an amount equivalent to the certificate is contributed to a fund, which is then given to the daughter of education of the girl child of the daughter of the martyrs who valiantly fought to protect the sovereignty of our country till their last breath. So the first one is for Dr. Anna Seyawi.
So I really humbly accept it. I'm really honored to accept that one. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome, ma'am. And the next one we have is for Mr. Shlok Kumar Singh. बहुत धन्यवाद श्लोक जी आपका. And the next one we have is for Miss Renu. Thank you so much for guiding us, ma'am.
And it's my privilege and honor. And I really feel it is really an important opportunity to share this one. And I really enjoyed sharing this, my knowledge or scientific perspective with all of you.
Pleased to hear you, ma'am. May I now invite CS Ashish Mohan, Secretary, the ICSI, to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sonu. Am I audible, right?
Yes.
Thank you. First of all, very happy International Yoga Day to all the members connected to us today. As all of you are aware, ever since 21st June has been declared as an International Yoga Day, it's gaining more acceptance internationally, globally. And when I was just hearing Dr. Anna Seyawi's this presentation, such a beautiful, lucid, and great presentation. In fact, she was emphasizing on the benefits more of yoga. I was just thinking, perhaps it might have happened to all of us when morning, especially when we drive, who all drive to office, especially when we drive, or whoever drive their car, you go to your office, you realize that you have reached your office without even understanding that you are conscious enough that you were taking the right turn, left turn, etc., etc. When you reach office, you suddenly realize you are in the office. And it is kind of a automated pilot-like thing works in your mind. That is the ultimate power of your mind. And perhaps yoga helps us to understand this power of our unconscious mind somewhere. The popularity of yoga these days, I mean, it's not really need to emphasize any further. It has been accepted globally well now. And in India, we have great rich heritage of alternative medical systems like Ayurveda, Siddha, etc. And in fact, the Ministry of Ayush has done a great job, in fact, in with regard to doing some kind of a research, propagation of these indigenous alternative medicine systems, so as to complement the other healing systems which we already have. Yoga has actually complemented all these all these facilities which we have as our heritage. And I really indeed, on behalf of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, really thank Dr. Anna Seyawi, the domain expert yoga and naturopathy, Central Council for Research in Yoga and Naturopathy, Ministry of Ayush, for having been with us today, spending so much of time. And in fact, I'm extremely grateful for your presentation. In fact, for an organization like us, all the points which you have emphasized with regard to the wellness, the stress level, especially your very critical focus on the mental health. It is very important how we deal with our mental situation, stress levels, even depression to some extent. And your studies have really, the presentation which you have showed, the studies which you have expressed in your presentation has really shown that in the years to further come, there will be much studies which will show the other benefits, more benefits which yoga can provide to us as a human being. Indeed, for an organization like us, it is very important, because most of the officers and the employees who work in the organization do sit for long hours in the organization. And the point which you really emphasize, do not sit for more than 45 minutes in a particular seat, is again, it's re-emphasizing our understanding that our employees should also take this in a right spirit. Please make sure that you do not sit in one posture in 45 minutes. Do sit up, do stand up from your workplace, go around, walk a bit, come back. Even it is a minute's break, it's great. So I really thank Madam for giving us these insights. And definitely your presentation would go a long way to helping us. And I'm sure all of our employees will inculcate this good habit of having, at least sparing some time, 30 minutes to 1 hour a day for doing yoga and meditation. I also thank both our yoga instructors of the day, Shri Shlok Kumar Singh and Miss Renu, for presenting the entire pranayamas and the yoga here. And I'm sure that this would have really helped many of our members to follow. And many of the members might have already been doing these meditation and pranayamas, they would have got a lot of clarifications out of this also. Thank everybody. And indeed, I think we have started this day with a good note, a lot of positive energy. And I'm indeed thankful to the Ministry of Ayush for being with us today and spending such a long time with us. Thank you, madam. Thank you, the entire team, for being with us.
Just on a final note, I would like to thank Ms. Preeti also, because she has facilitated, and I had a very good talk with her. I enjoyed with her, and I would like to thank her really, because she has done a good thing in facilitating this webinar to happen, I guess. So from my side, I thank her a lot. Thanks a lot.
Surely, madam. I think our entire team, led by the corporate communication team,
yes,
led by Preeti ji, she's heading that division.
Yes, because she is the point of contact to me.
Yes,
that is why I was just mentioning it.
Yes, sure. Extremely thankful for the entire directorates. Sonu, especially, working with Preeti ji to comparing this program extremely well. And I also thank the IT team for the excellent support which they provide. And my special thanks to the president of the ICSI for leading this program, and also to our honorable vice president, Devendra Deshpande ji, who is right now with us here. Thank you, sir, for being here throughout. And thank you, all of you. Thank you, all of you. And let's make sure that we follow these practices daily. Thank you. Thank you, all of you.